Welcome to Together at GRCC. I'm your host, Ryan Nausieda. I work in marketing and communications, and my primary roles are working with the CRM, which is customer relationship management, and also our texting software, which is called Mongoose. This podcast is to talk to different people on campus, different employees, different students, and maybe different community members to highlight these people and their departments and their connection to this institution. Today, we'll be talking to a guest who went to Wayne State University for public affairs and also went to U of M Dearborn for her master's in public administration. She's held roles in marketing, and at ITT Tech, she was the registrar, and she was also the registrar at GRCC. Currently, she's the director of student life and leadership. And today, we will be talking to Valerie Butterfield. How you doing?
Doing great. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing good.
Good.
So thanks for being my first guest on Together at GRCC. We'll just a casual conversation and mainly about your department we'll be talking about, but feel free to interject like things that you've done and things that you're proud of too.
Sure. Thanks.
Yeah. So like your role as a student life director, I know there's no typical days at GRCC, but if there was one, could you kind of give people a general idea of what you do?
Yeah. I would say as director of student life and leadership, there is never a typical day, ever. Not possible. Can't happen. So an ideal day I can share.
Okay. Let's do that.
Yeah. An ideal day would be, in my mind, we'd have something going on in our student hub. My door would be open. Students and advisors would be coming in and out. We'd see a lot of foot traffic. But it wouldn't, I think we do a lot of things that are structured and we do a lot of things that are less structured. And I really like those less structured events because you get to observe people really connecting, naturally connecting, like building bonds. And so that's always just fun to see. And I don't know, it's always a feel-good day when you see people like making friends.
Yeah.
When it boils down to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always see student life, and every time I see something in the plaza or see something as an employee that's not 100% directed to it, it makes me excited just to walk by and see the bustling campus that all the people around. So,
yeah. No, that's like the best part is seeing people feel at home and feel happy and, want to be there.
Yeah. What do you most enjoy about helping students?
I guess, for me, there's just a couple of things. Like I was a community college student. And so I know how difficult it can be sometimes if, you're going to community college and you have friends from high school that went to a 4-year residential college and, just developing that campus community and campus life aspect, finding that can be a little more challenging at a community college. I think we do a great job of offering a lot of things here for different students to connect to. So just based on my background, my experience, and my job, I always find that just when someone feels connected to something or gets connected to something that they're looking for, starts a new club or joins a club or finds an event that interests them, I think that's always really awesome to see. I think it's a really important part of feeling engaged and motivated to come to campus and to learn too, because most students don't have classes back to back to back.
Yeah.
There's downtime. And so if you are going to be here, you want them to feel happy to be here and like they have a place. And so, yeah, I think that's probably my favorite part.
Yeah. So for student events, what do you feel like gets them, like, have you had events that maybe didn't work out and ones that did? And could you tell like what the difference is and what got students to attend those particular events?
Yeah, I think, it's kind of a moving scale because we do a variety of different things out of student life and leadership. So one thing that I don't know that everybody knows that we do is we do a lot of prevention education. So sexual violence prevention, health awareness, things like that are a part of our office. And so depending on what the event is or the topic is. I think different things bring students to it. Typically, whenever we have things that are more come and go as you please, there's some kind of activity for folks to partake in and take away, or if we're sharing a meal together, I think that draws students in a lot. Where there, is maybe something that I do see that can impact things is sometimes communication can just be a challenge.
Yeah.
You're trying to respond to what people want to see, and you're trying to get everything together. And so not having all the information out in advance can be, can cause some problems in getting people to engage. So I think of sometimes we always want to have the student voice involved in all levels of decision making, right? If we're making policies or we're trying to improve something, we want to make sure we get the student voice. Sometimes that can be a very quick turnaround.
Yeah.
And so, when we only have a few days notice, sometimes I see that can impact attendance. I think, students want to participate. They want to be heard and be involved, but they're busy. They've got work, they've got class, they've got things going on. And so they need to plan too. And so we need to help with that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so talking about things because I know even with my work, I run email campaigns and I work with email, but a lot of people might have an idea of what I do, but sometimes there's like behind the scenes stuff that people don't see. Is there things that you would want campus to know about or the community to know about, like things that you do that they might not be aware of, like you mentioned?
Yeah, that's a challenging question, I think. So I haven't even been doing this a year yet,
Okay.
so I'm still learning a lot. There's a lot more paperwork
Yeah.
than I thought with things. There's I could definitely see there being some value in someone in my role having an events or hospitality background. I do not have one of those, so I have to be.
Well, I saw pumpkin carving, so you were able to make that happen at least, right?
Yeah, that was our Rotaract Club, and so they're good about all the students have a lot of talents and skills that they bring to the table that they do a lot of heavy lifting with making sure that their events and activities get off the ground and are running well. I think for us, we have to know. Kind of like, I feel like I've got to know everyone on campus and what they do because I'm always calling in favors to make sure things get accomplished.
I understand that.
And so my team does the same thing. And so I guess you just have to be a jack of all trades. And I don't know if everyone fully understands that, but I guess the paperwork is really the big thing. Like It takes time to make sure that we're going to pay things. It takes time to gather all of the options for something. It takes time to draft a layout of what an event looks like and make sure that it's functional for students, it's accessible. There's just a lot of pieces with that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So in terms of diversity, since we have such a diverse student body, like what tactics do you use to make sure that you're reaching all of the students in the way that they need to be reached?
Well, I think that's, definitely an area that is always something that we need to be paying attention to and putting work into. It's definitely, I wouldn't say we're perfect at it. I think we have some things that still need to be developed. So, but one of the two of the primary things that we're, trying to make sure that we do is stay connected with the Woodrick Center. Right, because the Woodrick Center's mission is to really, I think, elevate the voices of all students on campus and make sure that there is a place for everyone. And the other thing is, with student government, a large part of their job is also to just make sure that we, reach out to students and get their input and opinions. And so they're really making a lot of effort to put themselves out there. So, there's the Student Leaders Town Hall that happens monthly that student government and CAB host. We are making that accessible via a recording and trying to make that a little bit more interactive with having some questions that can be sent out to virtual attendees. I think we're learning some lessons there that if students don't RSVP to the event, then we don't know that they're there and can't send those questions out to them and make sure that we're getting their input because that's kind of the main part of that. So we're looking at different ways that we can engage with people who are able to be present at things, but also if they can't be there physically, how do we connect with them? So We also have a campus life newsletter that's going out once a month. It's a little bit different than what we've done in the past because it used to just be student government, and now we're trying to kind of corral additional things that are going on campus and in other areas. So we're just really right now broadening the net. We're trying to build some strategic relationships, and the director of the Woodrick Center, Jamelia Hardley, and I have talked about, we don't want to do things alone. We want to do things together.
Yeah.
Both of our offices serve students in different ways, but the goal of both of them is to have a place for all students to make sure that they can get connected to things. Student life tends to be a little bit more focused on hobbies or interests or academics and kind of developing leadership skills that way. The Woodrick Center has their affinity group, so they have, I think, NIA or NIA, I think it's NIA, Brother to Brother. And so those are, more affinity groups. I think NIA is for women and Brother to Brother is for males. And
I'm going to try to get her on here too. So
okay, yeah. So, but I think that's cool. And then they have, a mentoring program through that office too. So we're just kind of connecting on what's going on. But, they're a multicultural and inclusion office. And so, that's kind of their primary focus. So we want to make sure that we're connected, know what's going on, where are we, missing the gaps. And I think that that's something we're developing through this year. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Could you briefly just go over the structure of your department, the people that are in it, and how they assist maybe like the strategic vision, maybe not directly connected to that, but how they connect to the college?
So we've got 5 people in our office. We have Okria Collier. She's our student resource coordinator. She runs our food pantry and our snack pantries and also any referrals that we get from other offices for students that need help with basic needs. She responds to those students individually. She works within the CARES network. So I think that's really about, equity and also supporting students so that they, complete here and are able to stay in classes and be successful and have all of their needs met. Ashley Fox is our assistant director. She oversees all of our student organizations. She's co-advisor for student government. She also does, I think people might have noticed that there's been a lot of voter registration activity going on campus this fall.
Yeah.
So she works with student government and student life and the GRCC votes team on making sure that we're getting out there and making sure students are informed of their voting options, their voting rights, and what it takes to register. We receive federal funding. That's part of the expectations for community colleges. So that's a big piece. I'm not
sure.
Send
out an email for that.
Yeah, you send out an email. So everybody helps. And then Alyssa Gomez is our conduct coordinator, but she also advises our campus activities board. So she does a lot of campus engagement, campus activities work. She's very involved in a variety of things. I think she participates in NIA as well and in the Rise Up mentoring program. She's also a part of our behavioral intervention team / CARES team, and that is something that I also chair and is a part of the work of student life. So that team responds to just concerns about students and their well-being, and so she does kind of a lot of different things. In her conduct coordinator role, she tends to respond to reports that we might get about, academic dishonesty or bullying or things like that. She'll send letters, investigate those cases, meet with the students, and also is involved with our conduct hearing panel. Sheena Weaver manages all 30-something budgets of student life. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So she's kind of the magic in the office. Very important person, very, very important person. She also supports Campus Activities Board. Those are big events and big activities that are accessible to all students. So we want to make sure that those always go off without a hitch. She's constantly, taking care of things, sometimes taking care of things at the last minute for all of us. And so she's very important. I don't know how that ties into the strategic plan necessarily.
Well, you don't need to go in that direction. I think my brain was trying to be really official. And so, but we don't need to go that way. Yeah. We can just keep it at.
She's just a very important person. End of story.
Yeah.
And then Tyler is our technology coordinator, Tyler Anderson. And so he, handles the radar cards. So all students need a radar card to get into buildings after hours. It's great for if you want the discounts at our partners like the John Ball Zoo, the Public Museum, the Ford Museum. And he also handles a lot of parking issues. So he's part of a team that handles that, but he works closely with Ellis Parking when we have, gates down or complaints or things like that. He does a million other things. He also, kind of manages our in-person front desk and, collates questions that we get from students, make sure that we respond. He helps make sure that, postings get out for our, flyers and posters on all of our bulletin boards to make sure students know of what's going on campus. Yeah. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Looking ahead, are there any new initiatives or long-term goals for student life that you're passionate about?
Yeah, I think we're probably still developing a lot of our long-term goals, but one of the things that we got this fall is we were identified as a pilot program for the Hunger-Free Campus program in Michigan. It's pending legislation, and we received essentially a grant to...
Congratulations.
Thank you. To support our existing food pantry, but also to offer some additional meal options for students. So that's a little bit different. Food pantries like groceries, but this is also looking at options for a meal while you're on campus. So we're looking to try and design something for students to get access to that for the winter semester. We just got this grant this month. And then we're also looking to launch a leadership transcript, for lack of a better word. So that will be at the end of this winter semester. We just want to kind of officially recognize the work that students do outside of the classroom. I mean, our student leaders are doing a lot, like you mentioned, the pumpkin carving. There's a Halloween party tomorrow from the Arts Club. Our International Language Club, has typically done a big, cultural festival in the winter semester. And so, they're putting in a lot of time and effort to offer things, to their fellow students, and they're learning a lot through the process. And so we want to make sure that they have something that they can take at the end of the day, that says, hey, I did this, and helps them, kind of articulate those skills as they move on to bigger and better things.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Valerie, for coming in today. Very much appreciate you coming and being my first guest on Together at GRCC. Do you have any last words before we wrap it up?
Come check out Student Life. Come to the Student Hub. It's there for you. Let us know what you want to see, what you haven't seen from us, and we'll try and make it happen. I mean, this is nothing but opportunity is what I feel about this year. So just love to hear from anyone and everyone.
All right. Thank you. Together, we got this.